And welcome back. This is, the 7th episode of the Solo Moviegoers Club? Well, there's controversy. There's an episode we haven't published yet, but that we recorded. So this is the 6/7th episode, depending on what we want to call it.
I don't even think we should post that one.
Maybe not. I don't know. We'll think about it. Anyways, this is a new episode of the Solo Moviegoers Club, a podcast in which me, Sean, and my daughter Kaya go see a movie in theaters alone. We see the same movie, but we have to see it alone within 24 hours of each other. And then we can't read about it. We can't talk to anybody about it until we meet here on this podcast and talk about the movie. What movie did we see this week?
We saw Terrifier 3, and I want to say that I have not seen 1 or 2. I had no idea what it was about. I didn't look it up at all. So I went into this blind. And I want to just start off by saying that I personally had a horrible time. That's what I'll leave it with.
This is a wild movie to go in blind.
Yeah.
It kind of matters and it kind of doesn't.
I didn't even see a poster. So Clown Art, is that the name?
Art the Clown.
I didn't even know what he looked like.
That's amazing. I'm so envious that you avoided anything, hearing about this movie, seeing about this movie, seeing the others, and then saw this for the first time. But how shocked were you?
I don't even know. I almost left 15 minutes in. I'm I have to stay because of this podcast. There's no way I can walk out right now. I debated it every 15 minutes.
I had two walkouts in my theater.
I thought about it.
So
a lot.
One of the things we'll get into, this is going to be a little different. We do a summary and we try to keep the movie summary to 2 minutes, but for the audience and for Kaya, I'm going to do a very brief summary of the first 2 movies that'll maybe help you understand what was happening. But first, How was your solo movie-going experience?
I rushed to the theater because, I was all the way across town and it was only playing at certain theaters on the day that I saw it because I think it was just opening. And I get in there. Well, first of all, before I even get in there, I get ID'd and he's like, "I'm sorry, you look really young and a bunch of high school kids just tried to sneak into this 5 minutes ago, so I have to do this to look like I'm doing my job." So I had my ID, which was good. And then I go in and it's packed, and I'm seeing this is another 1 p.m. movie. It's packed. I could not believe it. And it was I think I saw this on Monday, which is nuts. So
yeah, first of all, wow, you got ID'd at a movie. That's hysterical. Second, I saw this at 11 a.m. on a Friday, and the theater was pretty full. It was about half full. I was really surprised. No other solo moviegoers. It was all groups of people or couples. It was actually a couple that walked out.
Yeah.
But they were sitting in those weird seats that nobody sits in. They're couches in the front of the theater where you can't even see the movie.
The handicap?
No. I don't know what they are. They're the makeout couches that are in the front of the movie. That are at the front of the theater.
Where do you go to the theater?
I went Royal Oak. I went to Imagine in Royal Oak, and there's 2 rows of couches at the front. They're love seats where people can sit next to each other. Yeah, they're on the flat part, which historically doesn't have any seats, so they're in front of the front row seats. You cannot see the movie from there.
Why does it gross me out to be on a couch at a theater? That's gross to me.
It's disgusting. You should be on a couch. Be on a couch at your house, maybe a hotel lobby. No other place in the world should you be on a couch. No. But yeah, so these people are in the worst seat in the house, and those are the people that leave. And I can see the disgust in their body language as they're walking out, huffy about it. But sorry, bro, this is not the movie to sit down with your girlfriend and eat popcorn and sit on those couches.
It was not.
But did you have a coffee?
I drank it before I went in.
Okay, I did a move I've never done before. It was really cold today. So I took a hot coffee from home in a little traveler.
That's there's a core thing for that. People will bring their hot coffee in a mug on a walk to feel something, I guess.
I see a lot of that, taking the kids to their bus stop
Ew,
There's a
yeah.
lot of parents, or there's a thing that parents do too, where there are parents who bring their coffee if they're drop. Okay, there's two different. Anybody who doesn't know, there's two different types of ways kids get to school: bus or drop off. The bus kids, the parents all wait at the bus stop. The drop off, the parents take the kids to the school, walk them up to the door, drop them off. I see parents that can't part with their coffee they can't leave their coffee in the car. They have to hold their coffee walking their kid from their car in the parking lot to the door of the school. It's like a security blanket. It's an adult caffeinated security blanket.
You say this, but when we used to walk to school in elementary, you carried coffee like that.
Totally different story. That was like a 10-minute walk both ways. We were walking a dog. I was taking you to school. We had to wait for a while. It was okay. It was an adult security blanket. That's all it was. I felt awkward around the other parents. I didn't want to talk to them. I could just disappear into my cup of coffee. That's the story. Anyways, back to Terrifier. So, I think I should start with a summary of the first two movies.
Okay.
In the first movie, which, by the way, the budgets for these movies, each one is 10 times bigger than the last, but they're all relatively low budget. And
yeah, it looks like a Hallmark movie. I'll just be honest.
Well, I mean, I actually am really impressed with what they do on the budgets on this, but these are lower budget than Hallmark movies. The first one I think they made for $35,000 or $40,000. The second one they made for $250,000, and it made like I don't know 10 or 15 million in the theater. And then this one they made for $2.5 million, spent $500,000 on marketing, and it's made like $40 million so far. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Crazy.
Yeah, these movies are wildly successful.
When did the first two come out?
So this character, Art the Clown, the writer-director of this has been working on this character since 2008 or something. So this character has appeared. It's really smart when you look at the history of what this guy did. He created a bunch of characters and released them as shorts and then put them together in an anthology. There's the vampires and witches and all kinds of things, and then this one killer clown. And then he saw that audiences responded to the killer clown, and he just kept developing it. And so he made this with a really low budget movie, Terrifier, that ended up. There's like a whole backstory. Someone can find some other place where they can hear this from a more reliable source. But there's the movie essentially got picked up by some sort of streaming service or something. Something happened, and then people are like, oh, this sort of worked. So then they made the $250,000 second movie, and then that one really worked. So then they made this still low budget but slightly bigger Terrifier 3, which is killing it. So anyways, the first movie is your standard slasher. It's these two girls who they see this creepy clown guy at a pizza place, and so they decide to leave the pizza place, and they go to their car, but their car tire is slashed. So they're sitting kind of waiting for help, and the one girl has to go to the bathroom, so she goes into this abandoned building to use the bathroom. And of course, the other girl, then she's in there too long, so the other girl goes in, and now they're trapped in this place. And of course, what happened? The clown that they saw at the pizza shop killed the dudes working at the pizza shop. He slashed their tire. He followed them into this house. This was his whole plan all along. So it's these two girls being chased by this killer clown. There's a couple other people, like incidental characters, who get murdered by the clown along the way just to give him some interesting kills to do. And what makes it different from a standard slasher is the performance of that clown. Like, you can dislike this movie. That guy's incredible. I think the way he taunts the victims, the way he like really embodies a clown is incredible. And the inventiveness of the kills. You've never seen people ripped apart on screen like this before. The way they do that, like Art the Clown has an art to the way that he kills. It's really interesting. And depending on your taste, it's either fun to watch or absolutely disgusting, or maybe both. But so here's where it ties into the other movies, and it's not like a total standalone, is that the sister of one of the girls, they called her for help. She was coming to pick them up because their car had the slashed tire. Well, she goes into this building to look for the sister because she gets a phone call, which happens in all the movies. Art uses somebody's phone to call. Like in this movie, Art used the college kid's phone to call the uncle.
Yeah.
So Art does that. He uses people's phones to call and essentially trap his victims. Well, anyways, Vicky from Terrifier 3, she's the sister who comes to save her sister Tara, and Vicky almost gets killed and gets her face all mashed up like that. And then, what did that remind you of? What did the condition of her face remind you of, truly?
I don't know.
Chimp crazy.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It was like that. I mean, that like the brutality of what happens in a chimp attack. Sorry, I'm gonna bring up chimp crazy on every episode of this podcast now,
It's
but
so good. It's so
it is
good.
so good. So, anyways, the Vicky survives Art. Art gets killed. Vicky survives Art, and then she goes a year later. She goes on a news channel to be interviewed, and she murders the person who's interviewing her. After the interview, she finds her in her dressing room and just rips her to shreds, and gets put into an insane asylum. So then,
Okay.
yes. So then the second movie, Terrifier 2, it opens on I'm pretty sure it opens in the morgue, and they've got the bodies of all the people of Tara and some of the other victims and Art. And when they open up Art's body bag, the lights start flickering, and he comes back to life. So then the movie, there's some kills here and there, whatever. The guy in the morgue gets killed, and Art's doing his thing. But then it switches to this family, and it switches to Sienna and her brother Jonathan, and her mom. Obviously, we know what happens. The mom ends up getting killed. Art is kind of stalking them, and you can't really figure out why he's stalking them. The dad, you come to learn that the dad was abusive towards Sienna, her brother, the mother. Like, he was a totally normal guy, and then he started to kind of go crazy, and then he eventually was abusive and then killed himself. But so it's Halloween, and Sienna and her friend go out, and the friend's boyfriend, and they're like drinking. I think they take it's like she gets her drink spiked by the friend who like gives her drugs, and she's been having issues ever since her dad died. So not a good idea. She takes the drugs. She's like hallucinating. She thinks she sees Art. The brother has been seeing Art and like this little demon clown girl all over, like at his school. He's getting blamed for killing animals, but he's seen Art and he says Art's killing the animals. Anyway, then it after they freak out, after she freaks out thinking she sees Art at this like rave or rock club or whatever they're at, they leave in the car. The boyfriend and her friend are taking Sienna home, and she gets a call from Jonathan that says he's at this fair and she needs to come get him. So they go to get Jonathan. Of course, Art has taken Jonathan to this fair. So it's like this carnival with a attraction called the Terrifier. And that's where Sienna's in her gear, like the painting that her dad gave her. She made that costume for herself. So she's wearing that, and she's got the sword that her dad had given her. And she goes in there. Her friends get killed in very interesting ways. Like the friend that showed up at the dinner table. That's the friend that she was with. So she ends up going, battling Art, saving Jonathan. She dies at one point in that tank of water. Like, Art traps her and drowns her, but she magically comes back to life. And she then cuts Art's head off. And then there's a mid-credit sequence where Vicky is in the insane asylum and she gives birth to Art's head, which is then where this movie starts, is with that scene in the insane asylum with that head that has the intestines attached to it.
Yeah.
So that pretty much catches you up, I think. I missed tons of details, but like you get the gist of who the characters are and what their history is.
I think like the main thing for me that I was really curious about was the dad story and like him making the characters and like where Art came from, and then also Vicky. Like I had no idea who she really was.
And this one,
where she played with that.
Yeah, this one, just to set it up for everybody. So this movie opens, Jonathan is at college. Sienna has been in and out of an asylum because she keeps seeing visions of her dead friend and Art and all these other people. She's like really struggling with the trauma of what happened. And it's 5 years later from the events of Terrifier 2. And even though they only made the movie a year ago, that's nuts. Like, I think the kid grew so much.
Oh,
that
really?
They had to put it 5. Yeah. They made this movie since the last one came out last October. They wrote, shot, edited, did everything. It's one of a friend who who released a previous movie of mine, who sold a previous movie of mine, who I'm making a movie with now. Priscilla was one of the producers of this, and like they just finished this movie a couple months ago. It was barely done. It was just so crazy. But anyway, Sienna goes to live with her aunt, her dead mom's sister, and her husband and daughter. And she's seeing stuff and things aren't going great. And Jonathan's doing well now at school. And Sienna sort of comes back into his life and injects her drama, I guess it seems like on the surface, back into his now tranquil life. Interesting aside, and I think we'll talk more about this later, but Jonathan's roommate's girlfriend is a true crime podcaster.
Yeah.
And she's obsessed with the Art the Clown murders, and she's like kind of fangirls on Jonathan, and then really fangirls on Sienna when she meets her. Long story short, bunch of other things happen. Art and Vicky is now helping Art. They're like working together, and they are working together to track down Sienna and Jonathan and kill them. They need to take her out. She is the only, you kind of learn through this. There's like this mythology with the dad. The dad knew something about what was going to happen. He knew that Art and Vicky were essentially Vicky is a demon. Vicky is possessed by a demon, and Vicky is using Art, this serial killer, to carry out her works on Earth. And somehow they know Sienna's the only person that can stop them, so they're out to kill her. And that's really the gist of the movie, right?
Yeah.
And obviously Art gets unleashed at the college. There's like some classic like people hooking up who get killed kind of scenes like from every slasher movie, but in Art's way. And that scene, by the way, was so beautifully art directed. Like between the red and the white of Art. Oh yeah, this is a Christmas movie, by the way. This takes place during Christmas. Art
really
kills.
Put me in the mood.
Art has officially the scariest. I was always terrified as a kid of A Christmas Story when they're at.
Yeah, no, I hate that movie.
Well, when they're at the mall Santa and the Santa kicks him down the slide.
Yeah.
Do you remember that? Always horrified me as a kid. It's this weird wide angle shot, and the movie looks really weird. It always creeped me out.
Weird.
This is creepier though. This is a creepier mall Santa sequence. So congratulations, Terrifier people. You've outdone A Christmas Story. But Art is dressed as Santa because he kills a Santa at one point and takes his suit, and he goes to this college and he's murdering people. And
yeah, like it was so. I don't know. For me, like, I don't watch scary movies just because they don't bring me joy. I think this movie was low vibrational, and I think that's how all scary movies are. But like the scenes with the Santa, I wouldn't have thought of that. Like the kid sitting on Santa's lap, the bomb goes off in the gift. Like, I don't know. I thought that all of the kills were pretty unpredictable.
That's what people love about it. I think there's a couple of things. So I think we've done enough of the story, right? Obviously, everybody has seen... Well, this one's a little interesting, though, because Sienna lives to fight another day, but she doesn't save anybody. Like, everybody dies. Except for maybe her niece, who might get away, or she's in hell.
So
I'm not
annoying.
really sure.
Oh, my God. I could not stand her character. Like...
But
like, her whole family was, like, trolls. Like, tool bags. Like, they all, like... didn't believe her or care for her or anything.
They didn't believe her.
Except maybe Jonathan, because he like obviously went through
He believed her, but I think he wanted to ignore it. I just didn't think he wanted to deal with it anymore up until it was too late. But yeah, everybody gets killed, and the movie ends with even Vicky is dead, but I kind of think her body parts were coalescing again. Like I wasn't sure what was happening there. And Art is on a bus out to kill more people, and Sienna lives to fight another day. So we'll see what happens in Terrifier 4. But to talk about the movie a little, I mean, I thought they did a lot with the budget that they had, and it's really like improved. The quality of these movies keeps getting better, and I think that character is so like I loved the movie. I thought it was great. I think that character is unbelievable. I could watch Art all day long. The performance is so good, and there's so much creativity to the kills, like you said, that I don't think this movie is everybody's cup of tea. By any means. I think it's not most people's cup of tea. I think it's pretty extreme. Well, I mean, it's enough people's cup of tea that it's killing it. It was the number one movie at the box office the weekend that it came out. But you're wearing a Ringo shirt.
Stop.
Yeah.
Don't get me started.
You keep bringing these interesting shirts to all the podcasts.
I just thrift interesting shirts.
All right. I'm just wearing our merch.
It says I love Ringo Starr.
Mine says I watch movies alone.
I need more merch.
Yeah, you need more merch.
More merch.
So we'll get more merch. But I sent you an article the other day. I don't know if you read it about how scary movies reflect what we're afraid of in society or what we're going through as a people. What's this movie saying? What's it reflecting on? What does Terrifier and its success and the fact that people can't stop watching it say about the state of our world or our society today?
I have no idea.
I have some thoughts.
Okay.
So I think it's making some commentary about true crime because you see this true crime podcaster tormenting this person who's been through this incredible trauma. And but I also wonder, it's also a super violent movie, but it's fake. It's not true crime. This is fantasy. It's horror. It's fantasy, and it's over the top and silly, right? It's not a particularly scary movie. It's a gory movie. Like, were you scared?
No.
Will you have nightmares?
No.
And
I feel that way though about like fantasy horror movies though. Like he's obviously not like a real human. It was like impossible nearly to kill him, to catch him, whatever. But yeah, like true crime definitely has a lasting effect on me, but it's so addicting. I always watch true crime podcasts, videos, whatever. Like I'm consumed in that.
why you don't feel it's like exploitative of the victims of these crimes or the survivors?
There are some times where I feel like it is, like in certain cases, certain documentaries. Like I know there's a lot right now with like the Menendez brothers and how like Ryan Murphy portrayed them. But there are like true crime YouTubers and podcasters who actually like take the time to like talk with the family and donate money and like do all these things that it doesn't feel exploitative. Like that girl in this movie was, but I feel like you don't see that a lot.
And do you think that was the filmmakers trying to have some commentary on? I mean, to me, it's almost if I were to put that in this movie, if I made this movie, I would be saying you're accusing my movie of being violent and being amoral and being all of these things or immoral. But look at what you guys are obsessed with. I have a clown killing people. It's silly. It's not real. Mm-hmm. This doesn't happen. A demon clown, nonetheless, who keeps being resurrected, and you guys are taking and exploiting real people's grief and real people's trauma, and you get to see that person, like Sienna as the victim, and even Jonathan later. You get to see what it's like to deal with grief, to deal with trauma. She's having almost what appear to be episodes of schizophrenia, of delusions, of hallucinations, of people who've died, and she feels guilty, like she caused it. So like you do see the victims of crime dealing with grief and trauma, and you see people trying to exploit it. And it's interesting to put that into a very violent, pretty silly, fun horror movie.
Yeah.
I don't know if that dilutes the commentary or makes it more potent.
I don't know. I found that part of the movie really interesting. It was just like another little add-on. I don't know.
And the other thing I thought that it might be, I don't think they were intentionally trying to say this, but what I gathered from it is, and granted, I just read that article, so I went into this looking for what it was saying or like how it reflected society. And I think it could have been a reflection of our collective nihilism, in the sense that early on you have the little girl, they say she doesn't believe in Santa anymore. Mm-hmm. And then Art kills and becomes Santa. So it's the annihilation of belief, essentially, and the annihilation of meaning, which I think are both inherent in nihilism. And whether that's an intention or whether that's just a reflection of society, I don't know. But I got that from it because I was looking for it. And I kept seeing further examples throughout. Like, this movie has a ton of religious imagery, which the previous movies didn't. I mean, it was really like extreme religious imagery. Even like at the end, Sienna's wearing a crown of thorns. There's blood coming down her face. It's very Christ-like. She's also the savior with the sword. And then it looks like she has stigmata. Her hands are cut open and they heal.
One of the bodies was like staked, like Jesus on the cross, like right before that whole scene too. Like I wasn't sure if it was because it's like a Christmas.
It was a Christmas movie, and but and also there was a straight up demon, right? I mean, this movie lives in a world, I think, where Christian belief and mythology are the reality of the world that this movie's set in. Even Jonathan's going to a Catholic college, and like, I don't know if you noticed at one point, there's like, I went to Catholic school as a kid, so I'm always hyper cognizant of these things, but when Art was washing his hands, there was a logo for the school on the wall, which was in red against a white backdrop, and it was the symbol of the Eucharist in Catholicism, which is literally, you believe it in Catholicism, the wine and bread that they give people are blessed, and you believe they literally are becoming the body and blood of Christ. So I just thought that was a brilliant symbolism in this movie. He's washing his hands, and you're looking at the body and blood of the Savior, and then he's going to go whip up some bodies and blood really quick. Yeah, it was pretty cool. I and also that we talked about it a little, but that room with the red and the white motif, and then the blood on the white floors is incredible. It was really beautiful to look at for as grotesque as it was. But weird thing happened while I was watching that movie that I noticed. Okay. Did you happen to notice the journal that Sienna was writing in that her niece... Yeah. Did it look at all to you like this journal?
Yes, it looked really similar to that.
Was it this journal?
I don't know if... It was like a little bit different than the sun thing on it.
Okay, because it freaked me out.
A little different.
This is the journal from We Need to Do Something that Amy, the one character, actually draws in. She actually like drew this. You can see this if you're watching, but this is like a part of a ritual that they do, and that's the date that she drew it. But it really freaked me out. I need to tell. I was thinking I have to tell Priscilla about that because she made 2 movies that have potentially the same journal. I do think it's different now that I look at it, though. I thought it was the same when I was there. It's also the flap on it was different, but similar enough. Maybe this is just like a tropey horror movie journal. I don't know.
I know. It's a prop.
But it's a cool prop nonetheless.
You still have it, so...
Yeah, just hang on to everything. So, what will you see Terrifier for?
No. Unless you make me.
We might have to if they make another one. I'm sure they'll make another. If they make another one in the next year, we might have to.
We'll probably have to.
But I mean, there's lots of things. I think there's lots of like homages to other horror movies. There was obviously like Art's face through the bathroom door after he axed it is pure The Shining. The shower sequence was very Scarface. The chainsaw, also very Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I think the movie shows a lot of love for previous movies, and then goes like crazy religious imagery. And also, what was going on with like the dude who was making that sword? Was that actually an Uruk-hai from Lord of the Rings? That looked like the scene from Lord of the Rings where they're like forging the elements in whatever Sauron's factory. I thought it was like I think they got that costume for Lord of the Rings. I need to dive into that because yeah. And then Silent Night was such a brilliant ending song. So what did you I know it wasn't for you and you would have walked out if not for the podcast, but redeeming qualities.
I thought the special effects were really amazing.
And what didn't you like? Just not your cup of tea, or was there something? Did you think it was?
I just don't like watching movies like that. Like, it's not because I get scared easily. I just like am like, just like off-putting, I guess. It's just like, meh. Do I really need to know this story? It's crazy to me that like I can't watch stuff like that, but I will listen to like the most gory, disgusting true crime videos with like real photos, real like everything. Like it's just different. And
I can't do that. I have no stomach for real true crime. Like I have a true crime project that I want to make, but I can't quite bring myself to finish to really put the effort in to get it made because I always question at the end. You know which one it is? The Murder Ballads?
Yeah.
It's really interesting. I mean, it's an interesting genre of music that tells stories. There's an interesting backstory to why these stories are told and the history of them. I won't go into that because it's a different podcast. But at the end of the day, when I think about it, am I exploiting real tragedies that occurred? Or is there a purpose? Is there a reason why we're drawn to true crime? Or why we're drawn... I mean, we've talked endlessly on this podcast about why we're drawn to horror, but why are we drawn to true crime? I don't know. Is it like when you're driving down the expressway and there's a car accident, it's impossible to look away? Does it help us deal with our own mortality? Does it help us solve crimes? Is that what it is? Are we seeking justice? Are we trying to prevent these things from happening? Those are all the questions I have when it comes to true crime. I've only worked on one true crime project ever. I don't know if I ever told you about this. I interviewed a murder victim's brother.
For which project?
It was a show. I just got brought in for like a one shoot on this the Oxygen network. I don't even know if Oxygen still exists, but it was just like a murder channel.
Yeah.
And I got brought in. I don't know why, like whoever was directing it wasn't available or something, and they brought me and my friend in to go shoot the interview with this murder victim's brother. She was working at a Lululemon, and they like found her blood everywhere, just completely, just brutally murdered in this store as the store was closing.
Oh.
And they thought like it was some homeless guy or something. There were all these like theories on who did it. The episode we were making was about the cop who solved the crime. He didn't think it fit. He's like, no, this doesn't seem right that this guy there was a guy they thought it was who hadn't harmed anybody would go in and like kill this girl. Didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Turned out it was her coworker.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was a wild story. But anyways, the brother who I interviewed, he was like he was a JAG, a judge advocate general. He was a Navy lawyer. And I went to interview him near DC where he lived. And he's a very, like, imagine the demeanor of a military lawyer.
Yeah.
And he was that guy. He was like very stoic, very like to the point, recounted everything that happened with almost like he was in court. And as I was talking to him, I couldn't figure out if what I was doing was therapeutic for him. He agreed to do it, right? Nobody coerced him into doing this. No one was like paying him to tell his story. He wanted to tell his sister's story and tell the story of the guy that solved the crime, right? Who brought his sister's killer to justice. But I didn't feel good about it. It didn't. I felt like I was exploiting this guy's tragedy for entertainment. But if it's entertaining to somebody or interesting to somebody and that guy gets some therapeutic value, I just couldn't imagine when I was leaving. All I was thinking about is I know the recreations that they're going to do for this. And this guy's going to have to watch this and essentially see his sister be murdered. And does that give him some closure? I don't know.
Yeah. I think for me, it's definitely the psychological aspect of like the murderer, and also just the fact that most of these cases that are brought to the attention of the media and that are highlighted are ones that like were unsolved for so long because we didn't have the technology for it. So a lot of them are still like not super fresh and current, but it is interesting to like see how it's handled by like detectives, police, the family, and the killer. Also, this is a tangent, but there's a really crazy like thing going on right now. Did you see it about a girl going into a walk-in oven at Walmart working?
No.
She was like burned alive, and you could hear it. Her screaming and stuff like, help me. Like, she went into a walk-in oven, and people are showing the latches on this oven. Like, she could not have done that herself. Someone pushed her in there.
Aren't there cameras everywhere?
Yes, but like no one knows what's going on with it.
Ghost?
It's a big thing. I don't know. It could be.
Also, I mean, it's like, you ever hear the stories of the people who, there's a documentary about it a few years ago, people who jump off the Golden Gate Bridge and survive?
Yeah.
To a person, every single one of them says as they were falling, they felt regret, and they were happy to have lived. And it could have been a situation where she was trying to commit suicide and walked in there and then regretted it, but it was too late. So she could have been screaming for help. Also, I just think, with the exception of, weird tangent, but with the exception of like like monks who self-immolate for political purposes and things like that, I think that most people who are, even if you think you want to die and you start to burn yourself to death, you're going to scream for help because it's so incredibly painful.
Yeah.
I saw a guy burned to death. Did I ever tell you about that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was on this podcast or no?
Not on this podcast.
Okay, this is so not funny. I saw a guy burned to death. I was in San Francisco. I was filming, and we were in the Tenderloin, and all of a sudden there is a guy walking down the street on fire, completely engulfed in flames, but walking. I still remember. I have the image seared into my brain of the way he was walking. It was almost like
that's like a movie.
It was almost his gait was similar to like Patterson Gimlin Bigfoot footage or something. It looked very much like there's this famous Spike Jonze video. I think the band is called Wax, or the song is called Wax, where there's these people on a bus and all these crazy things are happening outside, and there's a guy walking down the street on fire that they see. And that was what I saw. And it was, what was so crazy to me about it is that the guy didn't scream for help. He just walked until he didn't walk anymore. And then he just fell to the ground. And then like 30 seconds later, a fire truck rolled up. It was unbelievable. Everybody else was screaming, people around. But then there was a group of people that were just staring. I was just staring. I didn't scream. I didn't know what to do.
Do you think it was like, wait, you're in San Francisco?
Yeah.
It could have been a robot.
It wasn't a robot. We ended up finding out later. It was some really sad story. It was a guy who, I think gosh, I can't remember what the rumor was. There was a guy on our crew who said that this happens to people sometimes, where they don't change their clothes for so long that like gases build up and they spontaneously combust.
Yes.
No, there's no way. There. Oh my God. Okay. I'm gonna give you a list of things that were big when I was a kid. No, we've talked about this so many times, but like quicksand, spontaneous combustion. What's the other one? Ball lightning. Do you ever hear about this? This is all like unsolved mysteries stuff when I was a kid. But anyways,
Triangle.
Bermuda Triangle. Yeah, Mad Bermuda Triangle. But no, what ended up actually happening was that the guy was he was smoking something. I don't know what he was smoking, but whatever he was smoking exploded and lit him on fire, and he got like covered in like the lighter fluid, and it lit, and one thing went to another, and he was just completely burned. But that's how do we get from talking about Terrifier to talking about a guy who lit himself on fire? I don't know. It's you with your girl walking into a Walmart oven. Why are we laughing? This isn't funny. There's nothing funny about this. This is horrible.
It's been on my mind.
Yeah.
Solve it.
You want to solve it? You should solve it. Now I'm getting phone calls. Mumsy is calling me.
Doesn't she know we're doing something really important right now?
She does know. By the way, I can't talk that much longer. I know you have stuff to do too. My day is baller. Can I tell you about my day today?
Sure.
I went for a run. I kicked it at home a little. I went to see this movie. We're doing this podcast, and then I'm taking Atlas to go see Venom 3. I'm picking him up early from school to go see Venom 3.
Happy Monday. Or Friday. It's Friday.
It's Friday.
I don't even know what day it is.
Yeah, I'm spending it's like my own little private film festival with my kids.
That's crazy.
Nothing could be cooler.
It would be better if we went on a run together and then we saw a movie together with our coffees. Next time I see you.
What I want to do next time I see you is I want us to go for a run, get coffees, and then go to the same theater to see the same movie in different theaters. Like, I don't want to go to the movie with you. We have to be alone so we can do it for the podcast.
Yeah.
Bro, you have so much jewelry on right now. I heard it clacking earlier. You sound like back in the 90s when people carried change and somebody would walk around with a pocket full of change. That was what you would sound like.
I wouldn't survive a killer because of my bangles. There's no way. They would know where I was.
They would hear.
I think about this a lot.
You do.
It's a big fear of mine wearing jewelry.
You should write that into your slasher movie. That'd be a great way for somebody to get found. Like the girl at the beginning who gets found hiding in the cupboard.
Yeah.
That could be your tell. It's your jingle jangle bangles.
I have thought about this.
I just want to say, I have one thing that I wanted to bring up on this. I want to know what the public thinks about this. I got a completely unironic text from Kaya this week. She went to see Beck the musician, perform. And no joke, completely unironic text. She says, "Oh my God, Beck played Loser. It was so good. That song always reminds me of you." How am I supposed to feel about this?
It makes sense in my head. He used to play the song. He had like certain songs that he would play. Certain things came on the radio all the time. That was one of the songs, and I thought it was a hilarious song because like we used to call you a monkey or a gorilla when I was little for some reason, and like in the time of chimpanzees, I was a monkey. It always reminds me of you.
Yeah, well, you text me at like 2:00 in the morning. I was asleep. Literally, the first thing I see when I wake up that morning to start my day is a text from you that says, "When I hear the song Loser, I think of you." What a way to wake up. Okay, Kaya disappeared for a minute, but now she's back. The internet broke because you called me a loser, and the internet gods are on my side, so they ousted you to the netherworld. But now that you're back, now that you're willing to be friendly again,
yeah,
I am really happy Terrifier exists. This movie was not made by a studio. This movie was not released by a normal distribution company that releases movies like this. Mm-hmm. It was a whole bunch of people who just believed in this and did something outside of their normal area of comfort and their normal business practices and brought this to the world. And I think we talked about this a bit on one of our previous podcasts, but movies have become so homogenous, and Hollywood is making, especially when you look at like the dearth of movies that are, I love some great stuff is made by streamers and they allow for many things to be made, but there's so many movies that just feel like wallpaper. Mm-hmm. This movie is not wallpaper, and that's the reason that it's making 40, 50, however many $1 million. The reason this is number one at the box office. The reason this movie came out the same weekend I think the same weekend as The Joker. Yeah. $1 billion studio franchise with huge actors in it, with Lady Gaga, also about clowns, about a killer clown, and this movie outperformed that at the box office. That is a remarkable feat that I think should be congratulated. I think this is just like a refrain that we have on this podcast, is that people who want to see movies want to see something new. They want to go to the theater to have an experience they've never had before. This provided that for people, and I hope this inspires other people. I hope it inspires Hollywood to make more interesting things. It won't, but I hope that it inspires more people to make things outside of the Hollywood system, to have the confidence to know that audiences will show up if you give them something great. Mm-hmm. What do you think? Last thoughts?
Yeah, horror movies.
We could be done with horror movies for a bit. I feel like we've done so much horror on this, but we also started this right before. Yeah, it's my thing, but we also started it right before Halloween.
I know.
This is the end of horror movie season, so maybe. We'll see. Well, there is Smile 2, but no, I won't make you see that. I'll see that outside of the podcast unless you want to see it.
I don't want to see it.
All right, let's do a comedy next, or like a super sappy drama. Let's go melodrama.
What if I made you see like a rom-com?
I'll do it. I like rom-coms.
I don't even love rom-coms. I just have to watch them because I can't look away.
Dinner in America is a rom-com.
No, it's not.
All right. So, rom-com next?
No, I don't know. I want to look to see what's out.
Okay, we'll see something cool.
Yeah.
Anyways, as always, we appreciate feedback. If you guys have any thoughts, things you like about this, things... Oh! No. We're not done. Which character would you want to be?
Oh my God. The podcast girl. Because of the fact that like she wanted to experience the way that art kills, and he like gave that to her. Like he like looked in her in the eyes, and like she got her last wish when she died. That's my
thing. She died brutally. I was not expecting that. Wow, that is I believe they call that a hot take.
I mean, everyone died, so
I get it. Tough one for me. I want to say Sienna because she's the hero, and I think she's ultimately going to get revenge on Art. But everybody she cares about has died.
I know. I wouldn't want to like.
And I don't want to be Art because although I enjoy watching him, he's so sadistic. It cannot be pleasant to live in that brain. I also just I don't want to like kill and disembowel a bunch of people. Yeah. Man, I can't say nobody, can I? You might be onto something with Podcast Girl, actually. You might be onto something. She might be the only person in this movie who got what they wanted. Art didn't, because Vicky's gone. Art's alone now. He doesn't have Vicky anymore. Vicky didn't get what she wanted because she's dead. The little girl's family is dead. Everybody Sienna cares about is dead and gone.
Was pick me. Everyone was annoying. Oh my
God. You're right. Podcast Girl. Wow. Okay. I'll take it.
Yeah.
And with that, we will be back next time. We will talk to you all soon. Am I missing anything?
We didn't do reviews, but honestly, we don't even need to.
Oh my God, we didn't do reviews. Wow. Oh, fail. Major fail. Well, let's just see.
I feel like it only matters on Letterboxd. I rated it 1 star.
Wow.
I like that, like, I have my own Letterboxd, and then we have this, like, ours, so I can rate it twice.
Yeah, we're gonna have a tough one deciding what to rate this, because I would give this 5 stars.
That's nuts, dude. Bruh. You know what?
Terrifier 3, Letterboxd. I bet Letterboxd is gonna love this movie. Nice to see Liquid Nitrogen making a comeback. So disgusting. So disgusting and disturbing, I had to walk out 125 minutes in. Shaking my head every time Art kills someone so the crowd at the theater knows I'm against murder. Wow. Oh, by the way, it's the loudest theater I've ever been in my life. So loud. Blisteringly
so
loud.
Gasps.
I wonder if they put that out. No, the movie.
Oh, really?
The sound of the movie. Oh, so loud. Yeah, it was crazy. I wonder if they did it because like they knew people were gasping and they wanted you to like hear the movie over the gasping.
Yeah.
Okay, so Letterboxd. Mixed. Gabby need to vlog her experience in hell.
Biggest waste of time ever. I felt that.
The poor rats.
Art should have done the podcast.
That's good. Someone says mid. Somebody always says mid. Good film, but the rats make me feel sick. What do we have from Rotten Tomatoes?
Mama,
regular critics?
Art the clown behind you. Do you know that meme?
No.
Oh, my God.
Bro, I'm not on the internet.
You
I mean, I am,
Mama,
but
a blank behind you. Like, or like, yeah. Yeah, maybe you're too old.
Wow. Okay, so I'm an old loser is what we've established.
Yeah.
We've got 76% certified fresh.
That's pretty good. That's better than Letterboxd.
Yeah.
Most of the Letterboxd reviews are like average 3 stars, even if people said that they loved it.
We've got Chicago Reader says, Leone's talent, Damien Leone, the director, Leone's talent for tone control and his ability to shift from chaotic blood-soaked joy into a horrifying blood-soaked hopelessness makes Terrifier 3 work more than a special effects exhibition. Film Week, Tim Cogshell says, it's really kind of a lot of fun. Yeah, and the critic community liked it better than Letterboxd, but Letterboxd is brutal, so I think it's actually pretty good. 3 stars for a movie like this is pretty good.
Yeah.
All right. Did I miss any major things that we do in this podcast? Did I forget my name? Did I forget to introduce us? Did I forget your name or anything else?
I don't know. I guess this was like our Halloween episode.
Woo!
Spooky.
All right. Thank you guys for listening. We will be back with you soon.
What up? I don't know. Bye.
You have to do some fun outro. No outro? You need a high energy outro.
Let me sleep on it.
You can sleep on it. You can't sleep on it. We have to do it right now.
That's my outro.
Swag money YOLO.
Yep.
I don't know what that means because I'm too much of an old loser, but I'll accept it. Bye.
Bye.